Hey guys, it's Gwynaire here from Defy Entertainment, and today I'm going to be running through some mural art for my upcoming game Neyyah. So what I'm going to be going through today, as you can see here, this is one of the examples that I've been working on today. I'm going to be working on another mural art, and I'm going to go through the process pretty much from beginning to end and show you how I come up with this final look for the artwork, which goes through its different kind of phases as well. I think I might have a couple of different versions here that I've done. So you can see here quite a bit more colour in this one. This is the original one, so I kind of redid it. I didn't like some of the markings that I used. Redid it, looked cool, brought it back down a bit more in terms of colour, and then ended up with this version. So there's subtle differences. I've just taken out some of the lines away from the picture and added a bit more kind of like just different kind of little tears here. And this looks like you can actually see inside the building almost for this part here. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the way that one's turned out. I think I've saved this one already. I think it's actually saved over number 4. So I'm just going to save as number 5 anyway. So it's version 5. And yeah, so I can actually show you quickly what the original drawing looked like. This is kind of has been edited in a way. I've just brought out the whites and the blacks a bit more, made everything pop more. But this is hand-drawn artwork that I've been doing over the course of maybe about a month and a half now. And just pretty much every Sunday, which is kind of my day where I do things that are outside of the main development, core development jobs within the game. Being a full-time game developer, it's great because I'm able to do it day in, day out, night in, night out. And the main jobs that I do currently in Neyyah is mainly modelling. So I do a lot of my 3D modelling. I've actually got loads of different scenes open here. This is the current scene that I'm working on at the moment. It's one of the interiors of the game, which is coming along really nicely. I haven't been able to do much work on it at all today. I've just been focusing on this mural art stuff, but I really want to get the mural art finished so I can implement it into the engine, not the engine, sorry, the Blender sets, which are gonna be then ready for final renders, which are then put into the engine. So yeah, it's quite exciting stuff. If I can get these murals finished by tonight, that would be fantastic. So I've saved this one in a folder called the creation. I don't want to give too much away, but actually this is sorry, I'm getting mixed up now. I was working on another one. I can actually show you quickly. It's in, where is it? Let's see. Yeah, I've classed it as in the folder called creation, but it's actually called the harvesting. And this is how this one turned out, which turned out really nicely. I really like the way this one turned out. And it didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. So the main core thing to the effect I want to get within these mural artworks is the weathered, ancient feel that they possess. And it's really kind of getting the character to come out. It's a lot of different aspects, I suppose. It's kind of like working with what's happening within the picture as well. And so what we'll be doing now, this one's called the harvesting, so I'll rename that in a different folder, but we're going to be working on one now called the deliverance, which is the second of 4 mural artworks for a particular area of the game. So we're going to go to our raw renders, which I've actually put in the tapestry room, which is another area of the game that we'll be doing this kind of work for. Shall I say I'll be doing the work for, not saying that you have to do it. It will take a bit of work off my shoulders, but I'm happy to do this kind of work. This is actually quite exciting stuff for me. It's really nice doing this kind of 2D drawing based work instead of 3D. It's really good world building stuff as well for the game. So yeah, we'll go into, where is it? We need the deliverance. So this is the original drawing. As you can see here, assuming this is on. Are we recording? Yeah, it's working quite good. As you can see here, this hasn't been edited at all, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rotate this drawing, and I'm just going to rotate it a bit more. And I'm going to crop it a bit as well, just so we can just get the drawing in, nothing but the drawing. And that looks pretty cool, like that. Might just make this a bit higher, maybe. Let's bring that down again. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's go for that. I'm going to crop that down. Excuse me guys, I'm just going to quickly turn over to this computer. I'm rendering images for the engine at the moment, so I use this computer over here to do that. As you can see, it's got some cool stuff going on. $34D. Yeah, so the particular scene that I've rendered out there, that's the D position. So with Neyyah, when you're in a position in the game, you can usually look in 4 directions, so A, B, C and D. So if you turn left looking forward, that'll go to D, from A to D, and turning right would be A to B, and so forth. And there's 34, this is the 34th position within this particular area of the game, and that's not even, that's not like the entire island, so it's kind of a nice big area that the player can explore. And when you're in those higher numbers, there's a lot of trekking around to do within the game, so that's pretty cool. Just need to open a new file now and get that going. And we're going to be going to 35A. Brilliant. So whilst that's loading, I can get on with this. I have to be kind of vigilant of what's happening on that computer, because if I get too absorbed in this one, then I'll forget what's happening on this one. So it's really quite important to kind of keep focused. Alrighty. So I am going to now apply an action list to this picture. I set this up yesterday, I believe. Just basically runs over the black and white and pops everything out. Yeah, like that. Fantastic. Now, one thing I haven't done, I'm going to have to stop the video here and come back into it because I just realised, and it's a good example of what's happening. This is the kind of the asset that this particular mural, that the one I showed you before as well, where is it? This one here will be going on to, and the one that I'm about to show you in the process of making, it's going to go on to a similar mural asset like this. So I've actually taken this out of the main set that it belongs to, and this put it into a separate Blender file so I can work with it really quickly and render really quickly. As you can see here, I just set it to the camera. It was just rendering a nice close-up of this this concrete slab, which I can then basically just bring into Photoshop and I can just cut out. So that's pretty cool. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to speed things up. Now this is one of the little tricks. I don't do this very often in the modeling stages, but I try and make everything look as authentic as possible. So I'll change, the mapping of a particular asset in the game. I'll change its map. I'm just going to turn on a light here so we can maybe see things a bit better. The sun's going down a bit. So you might have a load of different planks of wood, and I try and change the map of those planks of wood, the texture maps. I try and change those for every plank, pretty much, as many planks as possible, and then they sort of shift them around so each one looks quite unique. I was going to do the same thing for these slabs, but these particular murals are kind of spaced quite far apart, so I'm going to cheat a bit. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to use the same stone texture, because you know what, with the artwork on top of it as well, and the stuff that goes on, like eventually looking at something like this, you're not really going to tell much of a difference. Everything kind of gets shifted around anyway. So yeah, we're just gonna run with it, and I can always replace it later on anyway if I need to. I can just sort of put it in the background as another layer, just to make the concrete look a bit different. But 9 times out of 10, no one's really gonna know. But now they do, so I've given away the secret. Now everyone's gonna play the game and be like, "That's the same concrete texture he used." Well, you know what? Yeah, it pretty much is. It was just a time-saving thing, and it's all on here on the video. So I am going to take that. It's already saved anyway, so I can actually bring that back into my Photoshop. Fingers crossed nothing crashes. And I'm going to open it up. So everything's a bit mixed at the moment. Okay, maybe not so mixed as I thought. So yeah, we'll go back into there, raw images, and we'll bring this back in. So we've got our concrete slab. The thing I do for this kind of work is I make sure that there's no shadow in the selection, and nothing's like no wood or anything like that is in the sides, and I'm just gonna crop that. So all we have is our nice concrete. I mean, I could flip it. Actually, might be a cool idea to just do that at least. Yeah, there you go. That's cool. At least it makes it look a bit different. So we flipped it around, so it does look like it's going to be a slightly different texture to here now. It should look quite different, I think. Yeah, we've got a bit of dark there, but that should be fine. That should be all good. Maybe if I flip it back like that. Yeah. Okay, we'll run with that. That's good. So now I'm just going to save this as well. So we need to just save this as a new file. More images. We got images here. Yeah, so this is actually the deliverance. That one there is the harvesting, so we need to rename that at some point. Drawing for embed. Another thing I'll quickly show you as well, although we'll probably come to that in a minute, is this is the drawing but with block color. I just use the paint bucket tool just to fill out the image with different blocks of color. Very cool technique. I haven't really done it much before in Photoshop, but you just use the old the quick selection tool, and you can basically just select parts of the drawing. As long as there's kind of big thick black lines around the place, it will just select that part of the image that you want to fill with color, which is quite cool to run with. So I'm just going to do the same thing now with this drawing here. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit more. And I'm going to select different parts of this drawing and fill it with different blocks of color. I don't really... The thing about these murals is that I was either going to hand paint them, or I was going to bring them into Photoshop and just see if I could maybe kind of add color within Photoshop, and it worked out so nicely. Actually, I can show you one of the pieces I did yesterday, which they turned out really nice. These mask murals, and you know, again, it was just a white and black pen drawing, and against the concrete, and it came up with this really cool charcoaly kind of look. And I thought, I can do this in Photoshop. I don't need to hand paint, particularly for those murals anyway. This one here, where is it? This one here turned out quite nicely as well. Has a bit of less colour added to it. I might go back to this one at some point tonight or today and just add a bit more colour to certain aspects, because I didn't use the quick selection tool with this one. But it came out quite nice, and I thought, yeah, this is great. I just work with the texture of what the mural has been drawn onto, and kind of work with that weathered look of how things maybe have. I've even smudged out some of the ink that was used on this one here, so it's actually kind of smudged out. And I did this in certain little areas, not too much, and that actually worked out quite nicely. It was quite a cool effect. So yeah, I'm going to try and replicate this. Not so much that one. I'm going to try and replicate our harvesting. Sorry. I'm gonna replicate the harvesting effect here onto our new mural on this one. Okay, so if I go back into here, see how that's doing. It's doing good. Oh yeah, okay, so we're just going to bring that open up in here. I'm going to start selecting different parts. So we've got our tower here, which will probably stand out the most, so we definitely want to look at that. Another thing I can do is probably just mix it with similar colours that are going on in here. So we've got like a browny colour. It's all changed anyway with the effects that I added. So I'm just going to start off quite simple. I'm just going to change it to like a sort of a beige colour. I'm really being careful about how much I actually give away when doing these kind of videos, especially exposing certain elements of the game. I'm going to zoom in a bit on this bit as well. It's a bit more kind of complicated. That's cool, I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to some of the other parts of this build. This is actually really fun. The great thing is that it took a while to get these drawings done. I was doing them, like I said, over sort of Sundays, and I'd have to kind of drop it, leave it on after the Sunday, get back into my modelling for the whole week, and come back to it on the Sunday. It's just really cool seeing them like this now, and being able to add colour to the different aspects of the area. Yeah, it's looking really nice actually. I love those blues and turquoisey greens. It kind of complements the portals of Neyyah as well, and it has keeps that cohesive colour branding throughout the game. It's one of the core. It's like the iconic Neyyah look is that blue portal, and so it's really cool that it even comes into the tapestry work as well. It's really cool. It's funny because I'm working in 3D so much that really Neyyah is a 2D based game. I've even got the build here. I can show you a quick snippet of an area within the game. And it might look 3D, but it's just 2D images. So yeah, just a quick snippet for you guys. But that's so different, the work that goes into that. Even though it's 2D, there's so much 3D work involved in that. So it's kind of cool just coming up with these kind of like drawings and working with them in Photoshop, and then knowing that they're going to be in the game. I find that's, it's a really cool feeling. The thing is, when I'm working creatively, sometimes I get a bit kind of scatterbrained, and I'll be working on one part of the image, then I'll jump to another part. Instead of working from like beginning to end, I'll kind of just do all sorts to get it done, and it works. Sometimes it works quite nicely, sometimes it doesn't, so it's a bit of experimenting really. I'm going to focus on this building here. I'm just mainly looking at the main areas that need colour. Actually, I'm going to do these crystals. Yeah, I'm going to do the crystals, because that's what they are. They are crystals. They might not look like crystals, but that's what they are. Well, that's what they're supposed to represent anyway. Another green area is these leaves here. I really want them to be actually quite prominent, so I'm going to come back out about 30%. and I'm just going to experiment with the coloration. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do here in Photoshop, actually not a lot of the stuff, a lot of the stuff is stuff that I already know, but this takes a bit of time to kind of tinker in terms of the effects that need to be put on the renders. They need to be tinkered around a bit just to kind of get the right settings for a particular environment. This stuff, you know, I barely do anything like this for Neyyah, and there will be more times this year where I'll be doing a lot more documentation that the player comes across and all this kind of stuff, and so it will involve a lot more hand-drawn diagrams and stuff like that, and will require this kind of work. So it's a kind of a bit new, but you know, I'm a bit of a newbie to this. It's not something I do all the time, but you kind of just run with it, you know. And just hope for the best. Sometimes the best, you know, is sometimes just the best. If that makes sense. The best is good enough for me. It's a song by Metropolis. It's one of those AOR songs. It's really good. I might even link it to this video actually, so you can check it out if you want. It's really good. Good tune. It's kind of cool because it has these like this cartoony feel as well. It's really different compared to what I usually work with. But then it becomes something, you know, really weathered and more realistic looking as well. So that's quite a fun stage. Nice. Okay, guys. So what I'm probably going to do, I'm just going to speed things up a bit. I'm going to finish this off, and then I'm gonna come into Photoshop again with you guys and show you how it becomes a really old mural, ancient mural for the game. So stick around. It's not finished yet, you fool of a talk. And here it is, guys, our finished, well, nearly finished, coloured pen artwork for one of the murals in Neyyah. So I actually realised as well that you didn't have to do the quick selection as such for a piece like this to basically colour it. It's pretty much already done for you. The black lines and the sections that, you know, hold the black lines, you know, the areas of colour that you want to fill in, they're already, you just fill them in. You don't have to worry about a quick selection tool at all, unless you're doing something that's more detailed, like an actual, say, an actual real photo or something that's real, like a real life photograph. Then yeah, you probably want to use a quick selection tool for that. But for this, didn't need to use it. So there's just a couple of areas here that I want to show you how easy it actually is just filling in the colours. I feel a bit of an idiot for not realising this, but that's cool. That's all good. You know, you live and learn, right? You live and learn. So yeah, just gonna fill those in. I'll probably just fill these in as well. Just little details. It's not too much of an issue. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. That'll do. Awesome stuff. Lovely jubbly. Alright, cool. That's good. That's fine. Way all good. We're gonna go too overboard. So there we are. There's our lovely coloured mural drawing. So now we're going to save that. And I'm now going to turn it into an old tapestry. I'm going to get rid of this layer. Delete that layer. And we're going to create, I believe it's a overlay. It's probably an overlay. I think it was overlay that I did first. I mean, the procedure I'm doing for these things is kind of like, I know in the back of my head what needs to be done, the procedure for it, but the effects that I add can be different for each piece. Mainly, this piece here, for example, you know, there was a certain layer effects that I used to kind of get that old look. Same with this, and I remember that the actual concrete that it was on this layer here, it's actually duplicated over the top. At the moment this is at 100%, so I'm actually going to bring that down a bit and just bring that over here about maybe 52, 60. And I'm just going to go for an overlay. I'm going to go for an overlay first. So yeah, what I'm probably going to do is focus on areas that I want to pop as well, that I want to kind of bring out the most within the scene. So now we've got like two of the same pretty much, but I'm going to change the effect that we're having to something different. And usually it's just a case of like seeing what works and what doesn't. I mean, that looks really old. That looks pretty cool, but kind of ugly at the same time. I don't really want it. The saturation looks too cartoony. That's pretty cool. Cool for like maybe a faded away kind of effect. So I'm actually going to keep that for now, and I'm going to get rid of some of this. See, already we're getting that really nice weathered look through just using this particular layer. And there's certain parts of the image that I really want to make pop out. I'm just going to change that as well. There you go, that's pretty cool. It's just a case of experimenting. Spitting everywhere. It's just a case of experimenting to see how well everything will look for the tapestry. I mean, it needs to be old looking. That is the key thing here. It needs to be old and weathered and not too bright. We need to kill the brightness and the cartooniness of the original colour version of this. Just come back out there, bring that in there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. I can't remember what I used for the other ones, but this one seems to be working quite smoothly. The opacity and the rubber, that's such a brilliant blend tool for something like this, because you can really just eat away at it in different strengths, and so you then bring out less colour and more colour, and it's just really nice effect. I'm just going to leave that for now. I'm actually going to duplicate this one here, bring it over the top, and really give it some spark. See, already there you've got like this really nice kind of dirty weathered look. Now this is the kind of the main layer that I added to the other murals. So basically it's a duplicate of the texture that the mural will be sitting on. So for instance, this one, this is concrete, and I'm now duplicating that concrete texture, that render that we did earlier in Blender, which is over here. This one here. Although I didn't actually do it for the video, this is one I did a while ago. We're now taking that and we're adding a color burn to it. And it's quite nice. I mean, if it's 100% it looks a bit too much, but I think it was about 40% just now. You can sort of bring it up until, you know, it's kind of like a nice satisfactory kind of fit for the picture. It was about 51. I'm going to bring it down to, yeah, about 45. That's quite nice. I can now actually eat away at this as well, but I'm actually going to go back to the one we had, and I'm actually going to bring that over the top. It doesn't work very well. Can I go back? And 48. Interesting. It's almost like it's inverted. it's quite nice because it kills the blacks of the penwork, which is quite nice. So I'm actually going to go into our colour burn concrete texture here, and I'm just going to eat away certain areas of it. I just want to just kind of see how it comes out. I'm actually, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm trying to get, aha, that's what I'm after. I just want some of the colours of this to come out more than others, and now I've got that really nice kind of foundation of the actual the dirtiness of the mural. So I find it really weird talking at the same time as working. It's like my brain doesn't kind of compute both together. So yeah, apologies if I stumble on my words or if I don't finish sentences, but focusing on this and talking at the same time is a very strange thing for me. But at the same time, I really want to show you guys what I'm up to, so I'll probably get used to it the more I do, so yeah, it's not too bad. I'm just going to do a bit actually on this bit. Actually, I'm going to do this bit again, and I'm going to bring in a softer brush, a softer eraser. That's much better. Do my weights. It's my weight alarm. I started to do some dumbbell exercises, which is quite nice. So yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of that. Bring some of the colour back in. Yeah, it's good to have those distractions from the game too. As much as I love Neyyah, it's my full-time job. It's good to have those things to do outside of the game as well. That's so important. And you know, don't get me wrong, I mean, I love being in front of the computer all day and all night. I can do that, but it's also nice to have breaks away from it too. And it depends how absorbing the work is. I think for me, if it's really absorbing work, I don't want to be able to get out of the house. I don't really want to do anything but the work. But if it's not that absorbing, if it's quite a tedious kind of job, I'll be more inclined to be like, yeah, I'm going to go for like a walk now, and I'm going to get some fresh air and get out. There's a world outside of Neyyah. I find that hard to believe sometimes, but it's true. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's looking pretty cool. I might reverse this a bit. I'm not actually cut it down a bit more. Yeah, it's nice. This one's looking really nice. I actually like. Yeah, it's looking a lot more faded. Another thing I try and do is that, particularly for these two murals, because they're in the same area, is kind of continuity. I want them to be quite similar in their tones. I mean, one of them might be more worn than the other. That's understandable, you know. These have been abandoned for a long time, these murals. They were done a long time ago, so they're all going to show their own kind of wear and tear, which is, you know, that's cool. Still works. One thing I'm a bit... Ah, it's a yellow. Right, look at the difference in that, guys. It's just visible. Yeah, that yellow bit there is just visible. No, that's okay. That's cool. This one's looking really tattered though, eh? This is like a really tattered mural. I do like it, so I'm going to try and keep it at 47%, but I just want to... That colour burn. Just going duplicate this layer again. So bringing back a bit more of the colour. I'm going to experiment a bit more with this layer. Nothing's happening on this one at the moment. There we go, it's on 27%. It's quite bright. So now we're kind of fighting against the brightness, which is kind of cool because now we're kind of matching this a lot better. So I like it. That's quite nice actually. I'm fading it away and it's kind of going back into that more dirty kind of look. Actually, this is really good for thinning out the whites in the picture. Yeah, it's quite nice. I wonder why that's so dark. Okay, that's cool. Kind of bringing out the cracks a bit in the concrete there, a bit more underneath. I'm just gonna bring that down, maybe let's try 26, 46, 90, 35. Yeah, it's quite cool. I think I just want to check. Yeah, it's really matching it. It's really matching it. It's really good. I'm liking it. I just think that there needs to be a difference of some sort happening. I'm actually going to change the opacity and really... There you go. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm actually just going to bring out more of the colour in certain areas. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's good. The reason why I'm popping certain colours is just because it makes sense to do so. That's all I'm saying on that matter. Yeah, this is looking great. Really happy with the way this one turned out. Again, it's that concrete, it's that layer here that really helps. That's our base layer, there's our cartoony look. So I'm just going to go through each layer with you guys. We've got the concrete. You got our cartoony pen drawing. Some rubbed out layer there. Extra concrete with a divide. That's on a divide, that's interesting. I was going to say, that's set to colour burn. And we've got our other layer here that brings more colour to it. So that's a perfect combination right there of being able to create a nice worn, weathered mural picture. It's very cool. And apart from that, I mean, looking at this and then looking at this, you know, I'm pretty happy with that. You know, you could end up, and I used to do this a lot when I used to record music, you can end up kind of overdoing it. And I'll actually link I'll put a link to one of my self-recorded EPs on this video. I'll link it at the bottom in the description. And I recorded that back in 2016, 2017, and I'll be going backwards and forwards with these recordings, being like, oh, that needs to be changed here, that needs to be changed there, and you know, it's just, you get to a point where you just have to kind of like leave it be and move on to the next thing. And I'm a perfectionist, and I think I've learned, especially with Neyyah, with creating a game like Neyyah, is that you do have to kind of think, okay, it's not perfect, but nothing is ever really perfect. You just have to kind of move on to the next thing. If that looks good, if that's satisfying you in that moment, at that point in time, that's when you think to yourself, okay, I can move on to the next thing now. This is satisfying me. This is looking really nice. I just think there could be something extra, maybe that could make something pop or desaturate, and it's something, I'm not too sure what it is, but I'll get to it. Just gonna cut that down a bit there. That's cool. Bringing out these little characters. Yeah, it's just little things like that that just need to sort of pop out a bit more. It's quite cool. Just going to cut that down actually. Put that render to go. Fresh out of the Neyyah oven yet, but will be soon. Yeah, that's not working so well. For these little characters, it works quite nicely. I think it's because it gets rid of some of the pen work, which isn't too great. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this layer here. It's an overlay. I'm going to duplicate our overlay and set it quite low to about 20%. I'm just going to see if there's anything else that can go into this piece, even if it's like just a part of the picture that's more faded than the rest. And Devide's pretty cool, because you gotta think, you know, with concrete, maybe it will just erode in different areas of the concrete because the concrete's crumbled away a bit. So it's all those kind of details. You kind of look ahead. You know, you just look ahead and you think, okay, that would be a cool thing to add. Pin light. It's matched it even more without the pin light. With the pin light. No, it's getting rid of too much of the. I was going to go with this one. I'm going to go to a height I'm actually going to rub out a lot of it. I'm actually going to darken it. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a contrast. I think it was like an auto contrast or an auto tone that goes on top of that concrete layer with the colour burn. I want to come back to that concrete. Brightens it up a bit. So that's looking quite nice. Now I'm just going to add here, on this layer here, I'm going to duplicate this one. Bring it up on the top. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the opacity quite low. I'm going to add an auto contrast. I should bring up a bit more just to see the effect. Bloody awkward. 28. Not seeing much of a change at the moment. Yeah, there you are, you can see it now. I think this extra one though is a bit too much because of the colour burn. Look at that. The people in this picture look like little candles at the bottom of the painting. That's quite cool. Yeah. This is more of like a fade. God, I'm thinking. If it's gonna let me, should work. It's way too much though. So again, it's just layer upon layer, and you know what? Sometimes with layers, it's a funny thing, but it's like the more layers you add, you know, the more detailed it becomes, but then the more real it looks as well. And sometimes that extra thing that you add, it's like the icing on the cake. It's like the thing that really makes it shine. Sometimes it doesn't, you know. That's cool too. It's kind of matching it with your eye. I try and, when I do something like this, I'm like looking at it in all different angles. So I focus on one thing, but then I kind of look at it from the like as an entirety, and it's like, oh, that little bit there, that didn't look right. When you look in the whole thing, it's just doesn't really mix. So you know, sometimes it's just trial and error. Pretty cool. It's not bad, it's not bad. 71%, I'm just going to up that out a bit more. Okay, I think we've got enough layers here now to work with. So what I do is my like final thing. I just kind of experiment a bit with the actual layers themselves, the opacities. So I'll go through each one. At the moment I'm on this one, I'm just going to go. Remember, it's 35%, and just experiment. Let me go to these beginning ones here. It's 54. I mean, if I take that right off, we've got that. It's like completely messed up. That's like the oldest mural in Neyyah. I'm bringing it up. It's like too much. So it just needs to sit. It needs to sit nicely. I think being one of the main color. Being one of the main color themes of the main cause of the image itself, I mean, this layer needs to kind of sit within the other layers really nicely, because I think it's the first layer I added that had the actual colored pen drawing in it. So I think the opacity is fairly high. This one's the highest. It could be the highest one. This one. Oh, that's not 100%. So this is 48. Yeah. Whoa. I really like the worn look of this one, actually. This one has a really dirty look to it in that corner there. Very good. Just bringing a bit more of that colour back, just a bit. And I think we pretty much have it. I mean, I think that's pretty much it. Interesting blend of blue coming out of the bottom here. Kind of makes that stand out a bit more. And then again, it's like a concrete one. Yeah, that's looking really good, guys. I mean, this is another example of sometimes a slightly time-consuming job, developing the game, but it's so worth it. When the game's finished and this is in the game world, and it's just gonna be so cool being able to see that come to life within the game. Yeah, I just want to bring out certain things a bit more. Subtle differences, but it really makes a difference for the whole scheme of the mural. It's smudgy there. Cool, guys. There you have it. It's pretty much our finished mural right there. And this is for the Deliverance. I'm getting these mural titles right now, I think, which is cool. So yeah, that's how I do these ancient looking murals within Neyyah, using Photoshop, using fine line pens. I can actually show you the pens I used to create these drawings. Here's one of them here. Different thicknesses as well, just to get a really nice either thick line or thin line, depending on how much detail I need to add. And then thanks to Photoshop, I can bring it in and use really realistic textures and overlap that with the drawing and create something that looks really quite stunning, in the sense that it's old, it tells a story, and the fact that it's actually going to be in a 3D world, that is pre-rendered, and so the lighting is going to be so realistic in these particular areas, and it's just going to be so cool seeing these murals come to life within the scenes. So yeah, I'm really excited for this, and thanks for watching. What I'm going to do is actually add another video at some point of the murals being added into Blender, and that's going to be a Patreon only video. So definitely join up on Patreon, and yeah, it'd be great to see you guys over there. All donations help support the full-time game development of Neyyah. There's some great rewards up for grabs as well. You get access to a lot of exclusive content, and yeah, such as the extra mile I go with these kind of videos as well. So you'll see the mural being put into the actual Blender set, and then a render of the mural at the end and how it's going to look. And it might not be the final image within the game, but it's going to be cool to just add that. And I'll be chucking that up onto Patreon at some point. So thanks for watching. I'm now going to take a little break. I've been talking for so long, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video and maybe picked something out yourself, and hopefully it influences you in your own work, or getting into Photoshop, or anything that you're doing creatively, or in life in general, who knows. So yeah, thanks for watching. Over and out. Bye.